I most certainly have noticed hidden curriculums in my dance education approaches. Certain hidden curriculums would be things such as take off your shoes in the studio, the language that we use to describe the bodies in the videos we're observing, the types of dances that each grade level learns, and how those align with the state standards. These might all be considered examples of hidden curriculums. And I certainly am aware of them, but I am particularly challenged with which ones I would like to modify, remove, or keep. And it's important as a dance educator that we take these things into consideration when teaching dance. And I'm going to speak particularly from teaching dance in a public school education setting. I would argue that dance educators need to be mindful about the student population that they teach. You need to take into consideration the demographics and how your indirect hidden curriculums might be influencing their perceptions of dance through your hidden curriculum, for lack of a better word. The struggle with this is that sometimes we're not aware. I personally experienced this from a student aspect. I came from a similar background to that of the students in which I teach. I was low income. I had no access to dance resources outside of my public school education. So when I walked into a professional dance setting for the first time, I was met with social norms and practices and forms of etiquette that I had never experienced before and was reprimanded publicly in front of the others for this. I felt shame and embarrassment, and it reminded me of my background and the lack of resources I grew up with, and how I wish I had had access to those things so I could avoid such social blunders as the one I experienced in college. Though it's a lesson now that I look back on with a comedic lens, I certainly want to avoid that with my own students. So my hidden curriculum a lot of times is in the etiquette in which I choose to implement. For example, rather than have students have a clean bun or hairdress within the classroom, my students may choose to tie their hair back for safety reasons rather than for the aesthetic of having a clean hairstyle. When you teach students who are from various backgrounds, clean in one culture may not necessarily be clean in another culture. And I don't want to indirectly uh, perpetuate the idea of what's clean and unclean in my classroom by dictating hairstyles. As long as it's safely tucked away, it is considered an appropriate hairstyle for dance. These may be things that take a while to notice, and it may take unfortunate, uncomfortable circumstances within your classroom to see. But there are certainly proactive approaches teachers can take when considering their hidden curriculum. One may be taking student polls and getting some student feedback so that you can take into deep consideration what students are experiencing in your classroom. And this creates a collaborative opportunity for students to feel like they equally get to create the climate that they have within